Are you okay? 3 simple words. That's all it took. Sarah Mitchell looked up from under the bridge where she'd been sleeping with her 6-month-old daughter for 2 weeks. The man standing above her was covered in tattoos, wearing a Hell's Angels leather jacket, looking like everything she'd been taught to fear. She should have run, should have hidden, should have protected her baby from this dangerous stranger. Instead, she whispered the truth. No, we're dying. What happened in the next 60 seconds would save 2 lives that night, but over the next 35 years, it would save thousands more. This is the true story of how one biker's question transformed a homeless mother into a force that changed the world. The rain hammered down on the concrete overpass like bullets from heaven, cold and relentless. Sarah Mitchell pressed her 6-month-old daughter closer to her chest, trying to shield the baby from the freezing November wind that whipped through the makeshift shelter. Her cardboard walls were collapsing, soaked through, offering no protection anymore. "Shh, shh, Ivy," she whispered, rocking the crying infant. "Please, baby, please be quiet." But Ivy wouldn't stop, couldn't stop. She was hungry. Sarah knew that desperate, angry cry. It was the same cry she'd heard for the past 2 days, ever since her last can of formula ran out. The same cry that tore through her heart like a knife, reminding her of every failure, every wrong turn, every moment that had led them here. To this bridge, to this darkness, to this hell. Sarah was 23 years old and she was dying. Not literally, not yet, but slowly, piece by piece, day by day. The cold was claiming her fingers and toes. Hunger was hollowing out her stomach. And the shame, the crushing, suffocating shame of being a mother who couldn't feed her own child, was destroying what was left of her soul. Before we continue, please subscribe and follow Sarah's incredible journey to the very end. Comment below with the city you're watching from. I love seeing how far this story travels around the world. 3 months ago, Sarah had a job, a small apartment, a future. She worked at a diner in downtown Portland, waiting tables, saving every penny she could. The apartment wasn't much, just a studio with a hot plate and a bathroom the size of a closet. But it was hers. It was safe. It was home. Then her ex-boyfriend found her. Tyler Branson had been her mistake, her colossal, life-destroying mistake. They'd met when she was 19 and he'd seemed charming at first, confident, successful. He drove a nice car, wore expensive clothes, always had money in his pockets. Sarah didn't know where the money came from, didn't ask, didn't want to know. By the time she found out he was dealing drugs, by the time she saw the violence he was capable of, it was too late. She was pregnant, trapped, terrified. She'd tried to leave him once when she was 5 months along. He'd found her within a week, dragged her back to his apartment, and locked her in for 3 days. No food, no water, just him, telling her over and over that she belonged to him, that the baby belonged to him, that if she ever tried to run again, he'd kill them both. Sarah believed him. But when Ivy was born, something changed. Sarah looked into those tiny, perfect eyes and knew she had to get out. Not for herself. She'd given up on herself a long time ago. But for her daughter. For this innocent, beautiful child who deserved a life free from violence and fear. So she ran. In the middle of the night, while Tyler was passed out drunk, Sarah grabbed Ivy, a diaper bag, and $200 she'd stolen from Tyler's wallet. She took a bus as far as the money would carry her, which turned out to be Seattle. She'd thought Seattle would be far enough, big enough to disappear in, safe enough to start over. She was wrong. Tyler found her 2 months later. She never knew how. Maybe he had connections. Maybe he'd tracked her phone before she threw it away. Maybe he'd just gotten lucky. Sarah came home from work one evening to find her apartment door kicked in. Tyler was sitting on her couch, holding Ivy, smiling that cold, cruel smile she knew too well. "Did you really think you could hide from me, Sarah?" he'd asked, bouncing Ivy gently like he was a normal father, like he hadn't broken into her home and terrified her half to death. Sarah had tried to stay calm. "Give me my baby, Tyler, please." "Our baby," he'd corrected. "And I'm taking her. You had your chance. You blew it. Now she's coming with me." "No." The word came out stronger than Sarah felt. "No, you're not taking her." Tyler had stood up, still holding Ivy, and walked toward the door. Sarah threw herself in front of him, desperate, clawing at his arms, trying to grab her daughter. He'd backhanded her so hard she saw stars. Sarah hit the wall and slid down, tasting blood. But she didn't give up. She lunged at him again, screaming for help, screaming for someone, anyone, to call the police. That's when Tyler made his mistake. He set Ivy down on the couch to deal with Sarah, and in that moment, while he was dragging Sarah toward the door by her hair, a neighbor, an older woman named Patricia, appeared in the hallway. "I'm calling the police," Patricia said, her phone already in her hand. Tyler dropped Sarah and ran. The police came. They took statements. They told Sarah she should file for a restraining order, that Tyler could be charged with assault and breaking and entering. But Sarah knew better. She knew Tyler's family had money, knew they had lawyers, knew that even if he got arrested, he'd be out in days, and then he'd come back. And next time, he wouldn't leave without Ivy. So Sarah ran again. This time she left everything behind: the apartment, her job, her few possessions. She took Ivy, the diaper bag, and what little money she had left, about $80, and disappeared. She'd been on the streets for 6 weeks now. At first, she'd stayed in shelters, but shelters had waiting lists, rules, curfews, and they required identification, paperwork, documentation. Sarah was terrified that if she gave her real name, if she put her information in any system, Tyler would find them again. So she'd lied about her name, used fake IDs she bought from a guy under another bridge, moved from shelter to shelter, never staying more than a few nights. But with winter coming, the shelters were packed. Sarah and Ivy got turned away more nights than not. Eventually, Sarah gave up trying. She found this bridge instead, Interstate 5, north end of the city. It wasn't much, but the overpass provided some cover from the rain. There were other homeless people nearby, a small community of sorts. They mostly left each other alone, but sometimes they shared food, cigarettes, information about which soup kitchens were open, which cops were likely to hassle you. Sarah had been here for 2 weeks. 2 weeks of sleeping on cardboard, of feeding Ivy whenever she could scrounge enough money for formula, of watching her beautiful baby girl suffer because her mother was a failure. Now, with Ivy screaming in her arms and the rain soaking through their last blanket, Sarah felt something inside her break. "I'm sorry," she sobbed, holding Ivy close. "I'm so sorry, baby. I'm trying so hard." Ivy's cries only got louder, more desperate. Sarah looked around wildly, hoping to see someone, anyone who might help. But the other people under the bridge had retreated deeper into their shelters, trying to escape the storm. No one was coming. No one ever came. She thought about walking to the hospital just 3 miles away. She could leave Ivy there, surrender her to the nurses, let the system take her. At least then Ivy would be fed, warm, safe. But the thought of giving up her daughter, of losing the only good thing in her miserable life, made Sarah want to die. "Please," she whispered to God, to the universe, to anyone who might be listening. "Please help us. I can't do this alone anymore." That's when she heard it. The low rumble of a motorcycle engine, growing closer, slowing down. Sarah's first instinct was fear. Men on motorcycles meant danger, meant drugs and gangs and violence, meant Tyler and everything she'd been running from. She pulled Ivy closer and pressed herself against the concrete pillar, trying to make herself invisible. The motorcycle stopped, the engine cut off. Footsteps approached, slow and deliberate, heavy boots splashing through puddles. "Hello?" A man's voice, deep and rough. "Anyone there?" Sarah held her breath. Maybe if she stayed quiet, he'd leave. "I can hear the baby crying," the voice continued. "I'm not here to hurt anyone. I just want to help." Sarah didn't respond. People who said they wanted to help usually wanted something in return. The footsteps came closer. Sarah could see him now through the gaps in her cardboard shelter. Tall, broad-shouldered, wearing a leather jacket covered in patches. Hell's Angels. Of course. One of Tyler's people, probably. Come to drag her back. "Please," the man said, and something in his tone made Sarah pause. "It's freezing out here. That baby needs to be warm and dry. Just let me see if you're okay." Sarah's arms were shaking from holding Ivy so tight. The baby's cries had reached a fever pitch, the kind of screaming that came from real suffering, not just discomfort. "My name's Gabriel," the man said. "Gabriel Rodriguez. I'm not going to hurt you. I swear on my mother's grave." Gabriel. The name of an angel. Sarah would have laughed if she wasn't so terrified. Ivy let out another piercing wail and Sarah made a decision. She couldn't hide anymore. Her daughter was suffering, and pride and fear didn't matter compared to that. "Okay," she called out, her voice hoarse from disuse. "Okay, you can come closer. But if you try anything, I won't, Gabriel interrupted. I promise. He appeared around the edge of her cardboard wall, and Sarah got her first good look at him. He was probably in his early 40s, with weathered brown skin, dark eyes, and a thick beard streaked with gray. His leather jacket was covered in patches, Hell's Angels insignia, various location markers, and other symbols Sarah didn't recognize. But what struck her most was his expression. He wasn't looking at her with disgust or pity or lust. He was looking at her with concern. Real, genuine concern. How old's the baby? Gabriel asked, crouching down but keeping his distance, giving Sarah space. 6 months, Sarah whispered. She sounds hungry. She is. I ran out of formula 2 days ago. Gabriel's jaw tightened. 2 days? Jesus Christ! He stood up. Wait here. I'll be right back. Wait, where are you? But he was already walking away, back toward his motorcycle. Sarah heard the rumble of the engine starting up again, and her heart sank. He was leaving. Of course he was leaving. Why would he help some random homeless woman and her baby? But 15 minutes later, the motorcycle returned. Gabriel appeared with 2 plastic bags in his hands. He set them down carefully just outside Sarah's shelter. I got formula, he said. Bottles, diapers, baby wipes. There's also some food for you. Sandwiches, water, fruit. It's not much, but it'll help. Sarah stared at the bags like they might be a mirage. Why? Why what? Why are you helping us? Gabriel was quiet for a moment. When he spoke, his voice was soft. Because nobody helped me when I needed it. And I know what that feels like. Sarah reached for the formula with shaking hands. She grabbed a bottle, tore it open with her teeth, and mixed it as fast as her frozen fingers would allow. The moment she put the bottle to Ivy's lips, the baby latched on desperately, sucking so hard Sarah was afraid she'd choke. Slow down, sweet girl, Sarah murmured, tears streaming down her face. Slow down, there's more. There's plenty more. She looked up at Gabriel, who was watching with an unreadable expression. Thank you. Thank you so much. What's your name? He asked. Sarah hesitated. She'd been using fake names for weeks, but something about this man made her want to tell the truth. Sarah, she said quietly. Sarah Mitchell, and this is Ivy. Gabriel nodded. How long have you been out here, Sarah? Under this bridge? 2 weeks. On the streets? About 6 weeks. 6 weeks with a baby? Gabriel's voice rose slightly. Where's her father? Sarah's expression hardened. Gone. He's the reason we're here. Gabriel seemed to understand without needing more details. He sat down on a relatively dry patch of concrete, keeping a respectful distance. You can't stay here, he said. Not with winter coming, not with a baby. I know that, Sarah snapped, her exhaustion making her defensive. You think I don't know that? You think I want to be here? I didn't mean, I've tried the shelters. They're full. I've tried getting a job, but nobody hires you when you smell like garbage and have a baby with you. I've tried everything and nothing works. So yes, I know I can't stay here, but I don't have anywhere else to go. Gabriel was quiet, watching Ivy drink her formula. The baby's eyes were starting to drift closed, finally content. What if there was another option? He said carefully. Sarah's eyes narrowed. What kind of option? I run a community center, Gabriel explained. It's connected to my motorcycle club. We help people who are down on their luck. Housing, food, job training. It's not fancy, but it's safe and warm. Why would you do that? Sarah asked suspiciously. What do you want in return? Nothing. We just help people. That's it. Nobody helps for nothing. Gabriel met her gaze steadily. I was you once. Different circumstances, but same desperation. Someone helped me when I had nothing, when I deserved nothing. Changed my whole life. Now I try to pass it forward. Sarah wanted to believe him. God, she wanted to believe him so badly. But trust had been beaten out of her a long time ago. I don't know you, she said. For all I know, you could be working with Tyler. Who's Tyler? Ivy's father, the reason we're running. Understanding dawned in Gabriel's eyes. You're hiding from someone. Sarah didn't confirm or deny it. She just held Ivy tighter. Gabriel pulled out his phone and showed Sarah a website. This is our center, Mission House. Look us up, read the reviews, call the number and talk to our staff. I'm not asking you to trust me blindly. I'm asking you to give yourself and your daughter a chance at something better than this." He stood up and pulled a business card from his pocket, setting it next to the bags of supplies. "That's my number. When you're ready, if you're ready, call me. The offer stands." "Wait," Sarah called as he started to walk away. "How did you find us? Why were you driving through here in the rain?" Gabriel turned back, a sad smile on his face. "I drive through here every night. Have for 5 years. This is where I used to sleep, back when I had nothing. I drive through to see if anyone needs help. Usually people tell me to get lost, but I keep coming back anyway." He walked to his motorcycle, started the engine, and rode off into the rain. Sarah sat there holding Ivy, staring at the business card and the bags of supplies like they were the most precious things in the world. Which right now, they were. She fed Ivy the rest of the bottle, changed her diaper for the first time in days, and wrapped her in one of the new blankets Gabriel had brought. Then she ate a sandwich, the first real food she'd had in 3 days, and cried because it tasted so good, and because she couldn't remember the last time someone had been kind to her without wanting something. That night, while Ivy slept peacefully for the first time in weeks, Sarah pulled out Gabriel's business card and stared at it. She used the last bit of battery on an old phone she'd kept hidden to look up Mission House. The website was real. Reviews from dozens of people talking about how the center had saved their lives. Photos of smiling families, job placements, success stories. It looked legitimate. It looked like hope. But Sarah had been burned too many times. She'd trusted Tyler, and look where that got her. She'd trusted the police to protect her, and they'd let Tyler walk free. She'd trusted that working hard and being good would be enough to survive, and instead she'd ended up under a bridge with a starving baby. Trust was a luxury Sarah couldn't afford. But as she looked down at Ivy, sleeping peacefully in her arms, she realized something. This wasn't about her anymore. This wasn't about her fear, or her pride, or her inability to trust. This was about her daughter. And Ivy deserved better than cardboard walls and cold rain and a mother who was too afraid to accept help. So Sarah made a decision. Tomorrow, when the library opened, she'd use their computers to research more about Mission House. She'd call and talk to the staff. She'd do her due diligence. And if it seemed legitimate, if it seemed safe, she'd call Gabriel Rodriguez. Because her daughter deserved a chance. And maybe, just maybe, so did Sarah. The next morning came too soon, gray and cold. Sarah woke to Ivy crying again, but this time she had formula to give her. She changed her daughter's diaper, bundled her in the new blanket, and prepared to face the day. The walk to the library was long, almost 3 miles. Sarah's feet ached in her worn-out shoes, and carrying Ivy made her arms burn. But she kept going, one step at a time, because that's what she'd been doing for months now. Surviving. One step, one breath, one moment at a time. The librarian, an older woman named Grace, recognized Sarah from her previous visits. Grace never asked questions, never made Sarah feel unwelcome despite her appearance. She just showed Sarah to the computers and brought her a cup of coffee without being asked. Sarah looked up everything she could find about Mission House. Articles in local papers about their work with the homeless. Tax records showing they were a legitimate nonprofit. Testimonials from people who'd been helped. Everything checked out. She used the library phone to call the center, her hands shaking as she dialed. "Mission House, this is Victoria speaking. How can I help you?" The woman's voice was warm, professional. Sarah almost hung up. "Hello," Victoria prompted. My name is Sarah. Gabriel Rodriguez gave me your number." "Oh, yes. Gabriel mentioned he might have met someone last night. How are you doing, Sarah?" The kindness in Victoria's voice nearly broke Sarah's composure. We're surviving. Me and my daughter." "How old is your daughter?" 6 months. Her name is Ivy." "That's a beautiful name." Sarah could hear Victoria typing. "Gabriel mentioned you might be in need of housing assistance. Is that correct?" "I don't have any money," Sarah said quickly. "I can't pay you." "That's not how we work here, Sarah. Our services are free. We're funded by donations and grants. All we ask is that residents follow our rules and participate in our programs." "What kind of rules?" Victoria explained. "No drugs, no alcohol on premises, mandatory participation in life skills classes and job training, respect for other residents and staff, curfew for safety reasons. All reasonable, all designed to help, not control. We have a small apartment available," Victoria continued. "It's just 1 bedroom, but it's furnished, kitchen, bathroom, everything you'd need. There's a daycare on site for Ivy so you can attend classes or job interviews. Sarah's throat tightened. Why would you do this for us? Because everyone deserves a safe place to live, Victoria said simply. And because we can. Would you like to come see the center today? No pressure, just a tour. You can meet the staff, see the facilities, ask any questions you have. Sarah looked down at Ivy, who was chewing on her fingers, making happy baby sounds for the first time in days. Okay, Sarah whispered. Yes, I'd like that. Wonderful. Gabriel can pick you up if you need transportation. Where are you right now? Sarah gave her the library's address, and Victoria promised someone would be there within the hour. While Sarah waited, she fed Ivy again and used the library bathroom to clean them both up as much as possible. She wet paper towels and wiped the dirt from Ivy's face, changed her diaper, tried to make her hair look less like a bird's nest. When she looked in the mirror, she barely recognized herself. Sunken cheeks, hollow eyes, skin pale and stretched tight over her bones. She looked like a ghost. She looked like someone who'd given up. But there was still a flicker of something in her eyes. Hope, maybe. Or just desperate determination. 45 minutes later, Gabriel pulled up in front of the library in a truck this time, not his motorcycle. He got out and approached Sarah with the same careful respect he'd shown the night before. Ready? He asked. Sarah nodded, clutching Ivy close. The drive to Mission House took 20 minutes. Gabriel didn't push conversation, just played soft music and let Sarah stare out the window, processing. When they pulled up to the center, Sarah's breath caught. It was bigger than she'd expected. A converted warehouse painted bright colors with a playground out front and gardens along the sides. This is it, Gabriel said. Home for about 40 people right now. Families, single adults, some veterans. We've got space for about 60 total. He led her inside. The main entrance opened into a large common area with couches, tables, a small library, and a play area for kids. Everything was clean, well-maintained, welcoming. A woman in her 30s approached, smiling warmly. You must be Sarah. I'm Victoria. We spoke on the phone. Sarah shook her hand, feeling overwhelmed by the normalcy of it all. When was the last time someone had shaken her hand? Victoria gave them a tour. The daycare, bright and cheerful with toys and cribs and caregivers who immediately cooed over Ivy. The kitchen, industrial but homey, where residents took turns cooking communal meals. The classrooms where people could take GED courses, computer skills classes, job training. And finally, the apartment. It was small, tiny, really. But it had a bed, a crib that had been set up that morning, a small kitchenette, and a bathroom with an actual shower. Sarah stood in the doorway, unable to move, unable to believe this was real. It's yours if you want it, Victoria said gently. No strings attached. You can stay as long as you need, as long as you're working toward your goals. What goals? Sarah asked, her voice breaking. Whatever goals you set for yourself. Getting your GED if you don't have it. Finding a job, saving money. Whatever you need to get back on your feet. Sarah walked into the apartment slowly, like it might disappear if she moved too fast. She touched the bed, ran her hand along the wall, opened the fridge that was already stocked with basics. I can't believe this is real, she whispered. It's real, Gabriel said from the doorway. And you deserve it, Sarah. You and Ivy both. Sarah turned to face them, tears streaming down her face. I don't even know how to thank you. You don't have to thank us, Victoria said. Just take care of yourself and your daughter. That's all we ask. That night, Sarah gave Ivy a real bath in a real bathtub. She washed her daughter's soft hair with baby shampoo that smelled like lavender. She wrapped her in a clean towel and dressed her in clean pajamas, then laid her in the crib with clean sheets and a mobile hanging overhead. Ivy cooed and reached for the mobile, her little fingers grasping at nothing, and Sarah cried. She cried for all the nights they'd spent cold and hungry. She cried for all the fear and desperation. She cried because her daughter was safe and warm and fed. And she cried because, for the first time in longer than she could remember, Sarah felt something that wasn't fear or shame or exhaustion. She felt hope. The first week at Mission House passed in a blur. Sarah threw herself into the programs with desperate determination. She attended every class, volunteered for every chore, pushed herself harder than she'd ever pushed before. She learned that Gabriel wasn't just some guy who helped occasionally. He'd founded Mission House 10 years ago after getting clean from a 20-year addiction to heroin. He'd been homeless, lost, Moments from death when someone had pulled him into a rehab program. I was living under that same bridge where I found you, Gabriel told her one evening when they ran into each other in the kitchen. For 3 years, I'd given up. Didn't think I deserved to live, much less get better. What changed? Sarah asked. A woman named Rosa Martinez. She ran a soup kitchen. She saw me every week for 2 years, and every week she'd ask me the same question. Are you ready? And every week I'd say no, until one day I was so sick, so tired, I just said yes. She got me into treatment that same day. Saved my life. Where is she now? Gabriel's expression softened. She passed away 5 years ago, cancer. But before she died, she made me promise to keep helping people the way she helped me. Mission House is that promise. Sarah touched the pendant she wore around her neck, a small cross her mother had given her before she died when Sarah was 16. My mom used to say that angels come when you need them most. I never believed her until I met you. Gabriel shook his head. I'm no angel, Sarah. I'm just someone who knows what it's like to need help. Over the next few weeks, Sarah started to transform. Not just physically, though the regular meals and warm bed helped her gain back the weight she'd lost and brought color back to her cheeks. But emotionally, mentally. She got her GED studying late into the night after Ivy went to sleep. She completed a food service certification program that Mission House offered. She practiced interviews with Victoria until she could talk about her skills without apologizing for the gaps in her resume. And slowly, carefully, she started to trust again. There were setbacks. Nights when Sarah woke up in a panic, convinced Tyler had found them. Days when the shame of where she'd been threatened to drown her. Moments when she felt like a fraud, like she didn't deserve the help she was receiving. But the staff at Mission House never judged her. They just kept showing up, kept offering support, kept reminding her that everyone deserved a second chance. 3 months after arriving at Mission House, Sarah got a job at a local cafe. It was part-time, minimum wage, but it was hers. Real work, real money. The first paycheck she'd earned in over a year. She cried when she deposited that check in the bank account Victoria had helped her open. $247. It wasn't much, but it was a start. I'm proud of you, Gabriel said when Sarah told him about the job. Sarah looked at this man who'd saved her life, who'd given her daughter a future. I don't know how to repay you. You already are. Every day you show up, every day you work hard, every day you take care of Ivy, you're repaying us. You're proving that what we do here matters. But Sarah wanted to do more. She started volunteering at Mission House, helping in the kitchen, organizing donations, mentoring new residents who arrived scared and broken like she'd been. One evening, she was sorting donated clothes when a young woman came in. She looked about 19 with bruises on her arms and terror in her eyes. Is this the place? The girl asked quietly. The place that helps people? Sarah's heart clenched. She saw herself in this girl, saw the desperation, the fear, the fragile hope. Yes, Sarah said gently. This is the place. My name is Sarah. What's yours? Jessica. Hi, Jessica. Are you safe right now? Do you need help? Jessica's face crumpled. I don't have anywhere else to go. My boyfriend, She couldn't finish. Sarah stepped forward slowly. It's okay. You're safe here. Let me get you some food and introduce you to Victoria. She's going to take care of you. As Sarah helped Jessica get settled, she felt something shift inside her. All the pain she'd been through, all the suffering, it had led her here, to this moment, where she could help someone else the way she'd been helped. Maybe that was the point. Maybe her suffering hadn't been meaningless after all. 6 months after Gabriel found her under that bridge, Sarah stood in her apartment, which she'd decorated with pictures and plants and small touches that made it feel like home. Ivy was pulling herself up on furniture now, almost ready to walk. She was healthy, happy, thriving. Sarah had been promoted to shift supervisor at the cafe. She'd saved enough money to buy a used car. She was taking online classes toward an associate's degree in social work. Her life wasn't perfect. She still had nightmares about Tyler. She still struggled with anxiety and shame. She still had days where she felt like she didn't deserve any of this. But she was healing. Slowly, painfully, but genuinely healing. One evening, there was a knock on her door. Sarah opened it to find Gabriel standing there with a serious expression. Can I talk to you for a minute? he asked. Sarah's stomach dropped. Is something wrong? Do I need to leave? What? No, nothing like that. Gabriel stepped inside. I wanted to talk to you about something else. A position. A position? We're expanding Mission House, opening a second location across town. We need someone to help run it. Someone who's been through what our residents have been through. Someone who can connect with them, understand them. Sarah stared at him. You want me to work at Mission House? Full-time with benefits. You'd be helping coordinate housing placements, running support groups, overseeing volunteers. It would mean leaving the cafe, which I know is a big ask. Gabriel, I don't have any experience. I'm not qualified. You're the most qualified person I know, Gabriel interrupted. You've lived it, Sarah. You know what it's like to have nothing, to be desperate, to need someone to believe in you. That's the only qualification that matters. Sarah felt tears building. I don't know what to say. Say you'll think about it. No pressure. But I think you'd be amazing at this. And I think it might be what you're meant to do. Sarah thought about Jessica, the terrified girl she'd helped a few months ago, who was now thriving at Mission House. She thought about all the other people she'd met and helped. She thought about how good it felt to give back. I don't need to think about it, she said. Yes. My answer is yes. Gabriel grinned. Yeah? Yeah. When do I start? Sarah's first day at her new job was terrifying and exhilarating. She met with families, helped coordinate housing, ran a support group for women escaping domestic violence. In that support group, sitting in a circle with 8 other women, Sarah told her story. Really told it, for the first time. Everything. Tyler, the abuse, living under the bridge, Gabriel finding them. When she finished, a woman named Keisha spoke up. How did you find the strength to leave? I've tried so many times and I always go back. Sarah thought about that for a moment. I didn't find the strength in myself, she said honestly. I found it in Ivy. I couldn't save myself, but I could save her. And once I started fighting for her, I realized I was worth fighting for too. Another woman, Michelle, asked, Do you still get scared? That he'll find you? Every day, Sarah admitted. I still look over my shoulder. I still panic when I see men who look like him. But I refuse to let that fear control my life anymore. He doesn't get to have that power. The women nodded, some crying, all of them understanding. After the meeting, Keisha approached Sarah privately. Thank you, she said quietly, for sharing your story, for showing us it's possible to get out. It is possible, Sarah said firmly. It's hard. It's the hardest thing you'll ever do. But you're worth it, Keisha. You deserve to be safe and happy. Keisha hugged her, and Sarah held on tight, remembering every person who'd held her when she needed it most. A year after Gabriel found her, Sarah stood in the new Mission House location for its grand opening. Ivy toddled around, holding onto furniture and people's legs, babbling happily. Sarah had invited everyone who'd helped her. Grace from the library, Victoria, the staff from the original Mission House, the women from her support group. Gabriel gave a speech about the importance of community, of helping each other, of never giving up on people. Then he invited Sarah to say a few words. Sarah stepped up to the microphone, her heart pounding. Public speaking terrified her, but this was important. A year ago, she began, her voice shaking slightly, I was living under a bridge with my baby. I was starving. Ivy was starving. I had given up. I was ready to die. She looked at Gabriel, who nodded encouragingly. Then a man on a motorcycle stopped and asked if I was okay. That simple question, are you okay, changed everything. Because for the first time in longer than I could remember, someone cared. Someone saw me. Someone believed I was worth helping. Sarah's voice grew stronger. I want everyone here to know that you're worth helping. I don't care what you've done, where you've been, how many times you've failed. You deserve a safe place to live. You deserve food and warmth and dignity. You deserve a second chance. She paused, looking around at the faces in the crowd. Some were residents, some were donors, some were volunteers. All of them had their own stories, their own struggles. Mission House gave me my life back. They gave my daughter a future, and now I get to help give that gift to others. That's the beautiful thing about this place. We help each other. We lift each other up. We prove that no one has to face their darkness alone. The applause was thunderous. Sarah stepped back from the microphone, and Gabriel hugged her tight. Rosa would be proud of you, he whispered. I'm proud of me too, Sarah whispered back, and she meant it. That night, after the celebration, after Ivy was asleep, Sarah sat in her living room and pulled out a journal she'd been keeping. She wrote about the day, about the people she'd met, about the hope she'd seen in their eyes. Then she wrote something else, a letter to her younger self, the girl who'd trusted Tyler, the woman who'd run, the mother who'd slept under a bridge, convinced she was worthless. Dear Sarah, she wrote, you're going to survive this. I know you don't believe that right now. I know you're scared and tired and you've given up. But I need you to hold on just a little longer. Because help is coming. An angel on a motorcycle is going to find you. And he's going to show you that you're worth saving, that Ivy's worth saving, that life can be beautiful again. The road ahead is hard. You're going to struggle. You're going to cry. You're going to want to give up 1,000 more times. But you're also going to discover a strength you didn't know you had. You're going to help people. You're going to matter. You're going to be happy. So please, please hold on, because the life you're going to build is worth every moment of pain. Love, future Sarah. She folded the letter and tucked it into her journal. Someday, she'd give it to someone who needed to hear those words. Someone under a bridge, or in a shelter, or hiding from violence. Someone who needed an angel. 2 years after Gabriel found her, Sarah was running the second Mission House location full-time. She'd helped house over 50 people, had built relationships with local businesses to create job opportunities, had expanded their programs to include mental health counseling and substance abuse treatment. She'd also started a scholarship fund for children of residents, making sure kids like Ivy would have opportunities for education and growth. Ivy was 2 now, talking in full sentences, loving daycare, thriving in ways Sarah had once thought impossible. And Sarah had started dating. Slowly. Carefully. A man named David, who worked as a teacher and understood when Sarah needed to take things slow, who respected her boundaries, who made her laugh. It wasn't serious yet. Maybe it never would be. But Sarah was learning that she could trust again, that not all men were like Tyler, that she deserved love and kindness. One evening, Sarah got a call from Victoria at the original Mission House. Sarah, I need your help with something. We have a new resident. Single mother, baby about 6 months old. She's terrified. Won't talk to anyone. I think she might respond to you. Sarah's heart clenched. I'll be there in 20 minutes. She dropped Ivy off with David, who'd agreed to babysit, and drove to the original Mission House. Victoria met her at the door. Her name is Amanda. She showed up 2 hours ago. She's been sitting in the common room, just staring at the wall. Baby's crying, but she seems frozen. Sarah walked into the common room and saw her. A young woman, maybe 20, holding a crying baby. Her eyes were hollow, her clothes were dirty, and she had that look. That same desperate, broken look Sarah had once worn. Sarah sat down next to her, not too close. Hi, she said softly. My name is Sarah. The woman didn't respond. That's a beautiful baby, Sarah continued. How old? Nothing. Sarah took a breath. I know you're scared. I know you probably don't trust anyone. I know you're sitting there thinking this is too good to be true, that there must be a catch. The woman's eyes flickered toward Sarah. There's no catch, Sarah said. This place is real. The help is real. You're safe here. That's what they all say, the woman whispered. Her first words. Until they're not safe anymore. You're right, Sarah agreed. I've been lied to too, by people who were supposed to protect me, by people who said they loved me. The woman looked at her fully now. But this is different, Sarah continued. I know because I was you. 2 years ago I was living under a bridge with my daughter. A man named Gabriel found us. He brought us here. And it saved our lives. Why should I believe you? Amanda's voice was raw with pain. Sarah pulled out her phone and showed Amanda pictures. Pictures of her under the bridge. Pictures of her first day at Mission House. Pictures of Ivy, healthy and happy. Because I'm living proof that it gets better, Sarah said. You don't have to believe me right now. You don't have to trust me. Just stay tonight. Just let us help you and your baby for one night. And tomorrow you can decide if you want to stay longer. Amanda looked at her baby, who had finally stopped crying and was sleeping against her chest. One night, she whispered. One night, Sarah agreed. Sarah stayed with Amanda that night, helping her get settled. showing her how to use the shower, bringing her food. She held Amanda's baby while Amanda ate and felt that familiar ache in her chest. The memory of those desperate days. "What's your baby's name?" Sarah asked. "Noah." "That's a beautiful name." Amanda was quiet for a moment. Then she asked, "Does it ever stop hurting? The fear?" Sarah thought about how to answer honestly. "It gets better. Some days are harder than others, but yes, it gets better. You start to believe you're safe. You start to believe you're worth loving." "I don't think I'll ever believe that." "I didn't either," Sarah said, "but I do now." Amanda looked at her with desperate hope. "How long did it take?" "Everyone's different. But for me, about a year before I started feeling human again. 2 years before I could really trust people. I'm still working on it every day." "What if I can't do it? What if I'm too broken?" Sarah reached out and touched Amanda's hand gently. "You're not broken. You're hurt. There's a difference. Broken things can't be fixed, but hurt things can heal." Tears streamed down Amanda's face. "I'm so tired." "I know, but you don't have to be strong alone anymore. We've got you." Over the next few months, Sarah watched Amanda transform just like she had. It was slower for Amanda, harder. She'd been through worse than Sarah, been hurt deeper. But she kept showing up, kept trying. And Sarah was there every step of the way, offering the same grace and patience that had been offered to her. 3 years after Gabriel found her under that bridge, Sarah sat in a coffee shop with a reporter from the local newspaper. They were doing a story on Mission House, on Gabriel's work, on the lives that had been changed. "What would you say to someone who's in the situation you were in?" the reporter asked. Sarah thought carefully. "I'd say that asking for help isn't weakness, it's strength. I'd say that no matter how dark things seem, there are people who care. There are angels who drive through the rain looking for people who need them. And what would you say to people who want to help but don't know how? I'd say start by asking. Ask the person who looks like they're struggling, 'Are you okay?' Offer food, or a ride, or just your time. You don't have to solve all their problems. You just have to show them they're not invisible. That simple act of seeing someone, of acknowledging their humanity, can change everything." The article came out 2 weeks later, front page of the local section. The headline read, "From Bridge to Hope, one woman's journey from homelessness to helping others." Sarah's phone exploded with messages. Old friends from before Tyler, people she'd thought had forgotten about her. Strangers offering support, other organizations wanting to partner with Mission House. But the call that mattered most came from an unknown number. "Sarah, this is Patricia. Do you remember me?" Sarah's breath caught. Patricia, the neighbor who'd called the police that night Tyler broke into her apartment, the woman who'd saved Ivy. "Patricia, of course I remember you. I saw the article. Sarah, I'm so glad you're okay. I've thought about you so many times, wondered what happened to you." "I'm more than okay," Sarah said. "I'm happy. I'm so relieved. I always blamed myself for not doing more to help you." "You did help me," Sarah said firmly. "If you hadn't called the police that night, Tyler would have taken Ivy. You saved her." Patricia was crying. "I'm so glad. I'm so glad." They talked for an hour, catching up, filling in the gaps. Patricia told her that Tyler was in prison now, serving 20 years for drug trafficking. He'd been arrested 6 months after Sarah disappeared. Sarah felt a weight lift that she didn't even know she'd been carrying. He couldn't hurt her anymore. Couldn't hurt Ivy. They were truly safe. That evening, Sarah sat Ivy down, now 3 years old and bright as sunshine. "Baby girl, I want to tell you something." "What, Mama?" "You know how sometimes people face really hard times? Times when they're scared and don't know what to do?" Ivy nodded solemnly. "Well, a long time ago when you were tiny, we went through a really hard time. But someone helped us. A man named Gabriel. He found us when we needed help most. And because of him, we're here now, safe and happy." "Is Gabriel an angel?" Ivy asked. Sarah smiled. "In a way, yes. He's a person who chooses to help others. And that's what I want you to remember, Ivy. When you see someone struggling, when you see someone who needs help, I want you to be brave enough to ask if they're okay. Can you do that?" "I can do that, Mama." "Good girl." Sarah hugged her tight. "You're going to change the world, baby. I know you are." 5 years after Gabriel found her, Sarah stood at a podium accepting an award from the mayor. Community Hero Award for her work with Mission House and homeless services. Gabriel was in the audience, beaming with pride. Victoria was there too, and David, who'd become Sarah's husband a year ago. Ivy sat in the front row with David's parents, wearing a fancy dress and trying to sit still. "I don't deserve this award," Sarah said into the microphone, "because I didn't do anything special. I just paid forward the kindness that was given to me. That's all any of us can do. When someone helps us, when someone believes in us, we pass that gift along." She looked at Gabriel. 5 years ago, a man on a motorcycle asked me if I was okay. That question saved my life. It saved my daughter's life. And it taught me the most important lesson I've ever learned. We all have the power to be someone's angel. We just have to choose to show up. The applause was deafening. Sarah stepped off the stage and was immediately swarmed by well-wishers. But she made her way to Gabriel first. "Thank you," she said, hugging him tight, "for everything." "You did this yourself, Sarah. I just asked a question." It was the right question at the right time. Gabriel smiled. "Rosa used to say that's all we can do. Ask the right questions and be ready to help when the answer is yes." That night, Sarah lay in bed next to David, listening to Ivy's soft breathing through the baby monitor, even though Ivy wasn't a baby anymore. "What are you thinking about?" David asked. "Everything. How different my life is now. How close I came to giving up." "I'm glad you didn't." "Me too." Sarah rolled over to face him. "David, I want to adopt more kids. Kids from the system, kids who need a home." David smiled. "I was hoping you'd say that." "Really?" "Sarah, I fell in love with you because of your heart, because of how much you care about helping people. Of course I want to give more kids a home." Sarah felt tears of joy sliding down her cheeks. "We're going to need a bigger house. Then we'll get a bigger house." They started the adoption process 6 months later. It was long, complicated, emotionally exhausting. But 18 months after they started, they brought home 2 siblings, brother and sister, ages 7 and 5, who'd been in foster care for 3 years. Their names were Marcus and Zoe, and they were terrified. Sarah recognized that fear. She knew what it was like to be so hurt by the world that you couldn't trust anyone. So she did what had been done for her. She showed up. Every single day she showed up. She was patient when Marcus had tantrums. She was gentle when Zoe flinched at loud noises. She proved, day after day, that she wasn't going anywhere. And slowly, painfully, beautifully, they started to heal. Marcus's first genuine smile came 3 months after he arrived. Zoe's first unprompted "I love you" came at 6 months. By a year, they were calling Sarah and David Mom and Dad and fighting with Ivy like real siblings. Sarah's family was whole. 10 years after Gabriel found her under that bridge, Sarah stood in that same spot. She'd come here every year on the anniversary to remember, to honor the woman she'd been and the journey she'd taken. Gabriel came with her like he did every year. "You know what's amazing?" Sarah said, looking at the concrete pillar where she'd pressed herself, trying to disappear. "I was so convinced I was worthless, that no one would ever care about me, that I deserved everything that happened to me. And now I know that none of that was true. I was never worthless. I was just hurt. And I deserved help, just like everyone does." Gabriel nodded. "You've helped a lot of people remember that about themselves." "We've helped a lot of people," Sarah corrected. "Mission House has housed over 300 people in 10 years. 300 lives changed. 300 families given hope." "Not bad for a guy who used to sleep under this bridge," Sarah laughed. "Not bad at all." They stood in silence for a moment, both lost in their own thoughts. "Gabriel," Sarah said finally, "what made you stop that night, 10 years ago? What made you decide to help me instead of just driving past?" Gabriel was quiet for a long moment. "Honestly, I saw Ivy's blanket. It was pink with little stars on it. My daughter had the same blanket." Sarah's heart stopped. "You have a daughter?" "Had." Gabriel's voice was thick with old pain. "She died when she was 3. Car accident. I was driving drunk. She was in the back seat." "Oh, Gabriel, I'm so sorry. I didn't know. Most people don't. It's not something I talk about much. But that night when I saw that pink blanket, I heard my daughter's voice in my head, clear as day. 'Help them, Daddy. So I did. Tears streamed down Sarah's face. Your daughter saved us. Maybe. Or maybe we saved each other. I think about her every day. And helping people, it's how I honor her memory. How I try to make up for the terrible thing I did. Sarah hugged him tight. You've made up for it 1,000 times over. Some things can't be made up for. But we keep trying anyway. They left the bridge together. Two people who'd been broken and had found ways to heal, carrying their scars, but no longer defined by them. That evening, Sarah sat at her kitchen table with her family. David, Ivy, who was now 13 and already talking about following in Sarah's footsteps into social work, Marcus and Zoe, now 17 and 15, and a new addition. Baby Hope, the infant daughter Sarah and David had adopted 3 months ago from a teen mother who'd reached out to Mission House. Mom, Ivy said during dinner, we have to do a project at school about heroes. Can I interview you? Sarah's throat tightened. I'm not a hero, baby. Yes, you are. You help people. You save people. I just do what anyone should do. What was done for me. But not everyone does it. Marcus chimed in. Most people just walk past. You stop. That makes you a hero. Sarah looked around her table at these beautiful children, this found family, this life she'd built from nothing. Okay, she said softly. You can interview me, but on one condition. What? Ivy asked. You interview Gabriel too. Because he's the real hero. He's the one who started all of this. The next day, Ivy interviewed both Sarah and Gabriel for her school project. She recorded their stories, took photos, created a presentation that she titled Angels on Motorcycles, How One Question Changed Everything. She presented it to her class, and her teacher was so moved that she asked Sarah and Gabriel to come speak to the entire school. Standing in front of 200 students, Sarah told her story. The real story. The abuse, the bridge, the rescue, the recovery. She didn't sugarcoat it. Didn't make it pretty. Life is hard, she told them. Harder for some than others. Some of you might be going through terrible things right now. Some of you might feel alone, worthless, like no one cares. She paused, looking at their young faces. I need you to know that's not true. You matter. Your life has value. And there are people who care. Even if you haven't found them yet. A girl in the back row raised her hand. What if no one comes to help? What if you're waiting and waiting and no one shows up? Sarah's heart broke for this child who clearly knew something about waiting for help that never came. Then you become your own angel first, Sarah said gently. You take the first step. You call a hotline or tell a teacher or walk into a shelter. You ask for help even when it's terrifying, because help can't find you if you don't let it. After the presentation, that same girl approached Sarah privately. I'm living in my car, she whispered. With my mom. She lost her job and we got evicted. Sarah's heart clenched. How old are you? 16. Where's your car right now? The school parking lot. Sarah took a breath. Okay, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to talk to your mom, with your permission. We're going to get you both into Mission House today. Right now. No more sleeping in cars. No more being scared. Okay? The girl burst into tears. Why would you help us? You don't even know me. Because someone helped me when I needed it. And because you deserve better than a car. You deserve a home. By that evening, the girl, whose name was Aliyah, and her mother Denise were settling into an apartment at Mission House. Denise was overwhelmed with gratitude and shame in equal measures. I can't believe I let it get this bad, she kept saying. I'm her mother. I'm supposed to protect her. Sarah sat with Denise while Aliyah was in the other room. You are protecting her, by accepting help, by making sure she's safe and fed. That's what good mothers do. I feel like such a failure. I know that feeling, Sarah said. I lived under a bridge with my baby daughter. I know what it's like to feel like you've failed your child. But asking for help isn't failing, it's fighting. And you're a fighter, Denise. You got Aliyah to school every day even though you were living in your car. You kept her safe. You didn't give up. That's not failure. That's strength, Denise cried, and Sarah held her hand, understanding every tear. Over the next year, Sarah watched Denise rebuild her life the same way Sarah had. Watched her get a job, save money, regain her confidence. Watched Aliyah thrive in school, make friends, smile again. And Sarah was reminded, over and over, why this work mattered. Why Gabriel's question 10 years ago had been so important. Are you okay? 3 simple words that acknowledged someone's humanity, that saw their suffering, that offered hope. Sarah made sure those 3 words were part of every interaction at Mission House. Every resident heard them on their first day. Are you okay? What do you need? How can we help? Because everyone deserved to be asked. Everyone deserved to be seen. 15 years after Gabriel found her under that bridge, Sarah stood at Gabriel's hospital bedside. He'd had a heart attack, sudden and severe. The doctors said he was lucky to survive. "Don't you dare die on me," Sarah said, holding his hand. "I need you. Mission House needs you." Gabriel smiled weakly. "Mission House doesn't need me anymore. It has you. It needs both of us." "Sarah." His voice was serious now. "I need to ask you something. If something happens to me, if I don't make it, I need you to promise you'll take over, run both locations, keep helping people." "Nothing's going to happen to you. You're too stubborn to die." "Promise me." Sarah's throat tightened. "I promise. But you're going to be fine." He was fine. He recovered, went back to work part-time, but the heart attack had slowed him down. Sarah took on more and more of the leadership, and Gabriel began to step back. 2 years later, Gabriel retired. He handed the keys to Mission House to Sarah in a ceremony attended by hundreds of people whose lives he'd changed. 25 years ago, Gabriel said in his speech, "I was living under a bridge, convinced I was going to die there. I was saved by a woman named Rosa Martinez who asked me if I was ready to change my life. I said yes, and everything changed." He looked at Sarah. 15 years ago, I found a young woman and her baby under that same bridge. I asked if she was okay. She let me help her. And now she's running this place better than I ever could. The circle is complete." Sarah stepped up to the microphone, tears streaming down her face. "Gabriel, you saved my life. You gave me and Ivy a future. You showed me what it means to help people, to love people, to never give up on anyone. I promise I'll honor that legacy every single day." The crowd erupted in applause. Sarah hugged Gabriel tight, this man who'd been her savior, her mentor, her friend. "I'm proud of you," he whispered. "Rosa would be proud of you too." "Thank you for finding me," Sarah whispered back. "Thank you for asking if I was okay. Thank you for saying yes." 20 years after Gabriel found her, Sarah stood under the bridge again on the anniversary. But this time, she wasn't alone. Ivy was there, now 20 years old and in her final year of social work school. Marcus and Zoe, both college graduates working in non-profit sectors. Hope, 17 and volunteering at Mission House every weekend. And there were others. Amanda, who Sarah had helped 10 years ago, now running her own support group for domestic violence survivors. Aaliyah, in medical school studying to be a pediatrician. Denise, working as a case manager at Mission House. Dozens of people whose lives had been touched by Gabriel's simple question. "Are you okay?" "This is where it started," Sarah told them. "This is where I hit bottom, where I thought my life was over, where I learned that angels exist, they just look different than we expect." She looked at the young people gathered around her, all of them dedicated to helping others, all of them committed to asking that simple question. "I need you all to remember something," Sarah said. "The world is full of people sleeping under bridges. Maybe not literal bridges, but metaphorical ones. People who are suffering, who feel alone, who've given up hope. Your job, our job, is to find them, to ask if they're okay, to offer help without judgment. What if they say no?" Hope asked. "What if they don't want help?" "Then you ask again tomorrow, and the day after that, until they're ready, just like Gabriel did for me. He kept coming back night after night looking for people who needed help. We have to do the same." They stood in silence for a moment, each lost in their own thoughts. Then Sarah pulled out a stack of cards from her bag. They were simple cards with one question printed on them. "Are you okay?" "I had these made," she explained. "I want each of you to carry them. When you meet someone who's struggling, give them a card. On the back is Mission House's number and our address. Let them know help is available. Let them know someone cares." She distributed the cards, watching as each person solemnly pocketed them. "We are Gabriel's legacy," Sarah said. "All of us. Every person we help, every life we change. We're honoring his choice to stop that night. His choice to ask if I was okay." As they left the bridge together, Sarah looked back one more time. She remembered the broken, terrified woman who'd huddled there 20 years ago, who'd been ready to give up, to let the cold take her. That woman was gone. In her place was someone stronger, someone who'd learned that asking for help wasn't weakness, but courage. Someone who'd dedicated her life to making sure no one else had to suffer alone. The bridge was just a bridge now, just concrete and steel. The demons were gone. All that remained was gratitude for the journey and determination to help others make the same transformation. Sarah pulled out her phone and made a call. Mission House, this is Keisha speaking. How can I help you? Sarah smiled. Keisha, the woman from her old support group now working at the front desk. Hey Keisha, it's Sarah. I'm at the bridge, just checking in. Any new residents today? 3 families, 1 single mother with twins. And Sarah, there's a young woman who just called asking about our services. She sounds desperate. I think she needs you. I'm on my way. Sarah hung up and turned to her family. Duty calls. Someone needs help. Ivy hugged her. Go save the world, Mom. 1 person at a time, Sarah said. That's all we can do. 1 person at a time. She climbed into her car and headed back to Mission House, back to the work that had saved her life and given it meaning. Because somewhere, right now, someone was sleeping under a bridge. Someone was scared and alone and convinced no one cared. Someone was 1 question away from hope, and Sarah was going to ask that question. Are you okay? 3 words that changed everything. 3 words that saved lives. 3 words that proved angels exist. They just ride motorcycles and run homeless shelters and show up when you need them most. Sarah had been asked that question 20 years ago. Now it was her turn to ask it. Over and over. Day after day. For as long as she lived. Because everyone deserves an angel. Everyone deserves to be seen. And everyone deserves a chance to transform from broken to whole. That was Gabriel's gift to her. And it was the gift she would spend the rest of her life giving to others. 1 question at a time. 25 years after Gabriel found her under that bridge, Sarah stood before a packed auditorium at the National Conference on Homelessness Prevention. Her hair was streaked with gray now, laugh lines creased the corners of her eyes, but her voice was still strong, still passionate. When I tell people I used to be homeless, she began, they often respond with surprise. They say things like, but you seem so put together now, or you don't look like someone who was homeless. And that's exactly the problem. She clicked to the next slide, showing a photo of herself from 25 years ago. Gaunt, hollow-eyed, holding baby Ivy under that bridge. This was me, a college dropout who made bad choices, who trusted the wrong person, who ended up on the streets with a 6-month-old baby. When people saw me then, they saw someone who deserved their situation. Someone who'd brought it on herself. Someone not worth helping. Sarah's voice grew stronger. But here's what they didn't see. They didn't see that I was fleeing domestic violence. They didn't see that I was trying to protect my daughter. They didn't see that I was doing everything I could to survive with no resources, no support system, no hope. She clicked to another slide. Gabriel on his motorcycle, smiling. This man saw me. Gabriel Rodriguez stopped under a bridge on a rainy November night and asked me 3 words. Are you okay? Those 3 words saved my life. They saved my daughter's life. And they started a ripple effect that has now touched thousands of lives. The audience was silent, hanging on every word. Mission House has grown from 1 location to 7 across the state. We've housed over 4,000 individuals in 25 years. We've helped people find jobs, reunite with families, escape violence, beat addiction, and rebuild their lives from nothing. Sarah paused, letting that sink in. But here's what I want you to understand. Every single one of those 4,000 people started the same way I did. Broken, desperate, convinced they didn't deserve help. And every single one of them needed someone to ask, "Are you okay?" She looked out at the crowd of social workers, policymakers, nonprofit leaders. That's what I'm here to tell you today. The solution to homelessness isn't just more shelters or more programs or more money, though we need all those things. The solution starts with seeing people. Actually seeing them. Acknowledging their humanity, asking if they're okay. A woman in the front row raised her hand. But what about personal responsibility? What about people who made bad choices? Sarah had heard this question 1,000 times. She no longer got defensive about it. I made bad choices, she said simply. I chose to date a man who turned out to be abusive. I chose to run away instead of fighting for custody through legal channels. I made mistakes. But did those mistakes mean I deserved to freeze to death under a bridge? Did my daughter deserve to starve because her mother made bad choices? She let the question hang in the air. We have to stop thinking about homelessness as a moral failing. It's a systemic failure. A failure of our safety nets, our support systems, our compassion. Yes, people make choices, but those choices are often made in contexts of trauma, poverty, mental illness, addiction. We can't judge people without understanding their stories. After her speech, Sarah was surrounded by people wanting to talk, to share their own stories, to ask for advice. But one conversation stood out. A young man, maybe 22, approached her nervously. "Ms. Mitchell, my name is Cameron. I wanted to thank you." "Thank me? For what?" 10 years ago, I was one of the kids at Mission House. My mom brought us there when I was 12. We stayed for 8 months. You helped my mom get a job. You helped me stay in school. You believed in us when no one else did. Sarah's eyes filled with tears. She didn't remember every resident, though she wished she could. There were too many faces, too many stories over the years. "I just graduated from law school," Cameron continued. "I'm starting at a firm that does housing advocacy work, and it's because of you. Because you showed me that people from places like Mission House could become people like you." Sarah hugged him tight. "I'm so proud of you, Cameron. Your mom must be over the moon." "She is. She's running her own business now. A catering company. She hired 3 other women from Mission House." This was why Sarah did it. These moments, these stories of transformation and hope. "Keep fighting for people," she told Cameron. "Keep asking if they're okay. Keep showing up." "I will, I promise." That evening, Sarah drove back to Mission House's original location, the one Gabriel had founded 35 years ago. He still lived there, in a small apartment on the first floor. At 72, he moved slower, his hands shook sometimes, but his heart was as strong as ever. Sarah found him in the common room, playing chess with a new resident, a veteran named Isaiah who'd been on the streets for 3 years. "Check," Gabriel said, moving his bishop. Isaiah studied the board, scratching his head. "How do you always beat me?" "Practice. I've been playing this game for 50 years. Gabriel looked up and saw Sarah. His face broke into a wide smile. "There's my favorite person." Sarah sat down next to them. "Who's winning?" "Gabriel's destroying me," Isaiah said good-naturedly. "But I'm learning." "That's all that matters," Gabriel said. "Learning, growing, not giving up." After Isaiah left to help with dinner prep, Sarah and Gabriel sat together in comfortable silence. "How was the conference?" Gabriel asked. "Good, exhausting. I met a kid we helped 10 years ago, Cameron Jennings. He's a lawyer now." Gabriel's eyes lit up. "Little Cameron, the one who was obsessed with basketball? That's him, all grown up and fighting for housing rights." "That's beautiful." Gabriel's voice was thick with emotion. "That's exactly what Rosa wanted, for people to pay it forward." Sarah took his hand. "Gabriel, I need to talk to you about something." "That sounds serious." "I got a call from the state. They want to expand our model statewide. Open 20 more locations over the next 5 years. They're offering significant funding." Gabriel's eyebrows shot up. 20 locations? I know it's a lot, but think of how many people we could help. We'd need to train new staff, develop stronger systems, maybe even franchise the model. It would be massive. "What do you think?" Sarah was quiet for a moment. "I think we have to do it. I think if we have the chance to help more people and we don't take it, we're failing everyone who's still out there sleeping under bridges." Gabriel nodded slowly. "Then we do it. But Sarah, you can't do this alone. You need a team. Strong leadership, people who understand the mission." "I know. I've already started thinking about it. Ivy wants to come on full-time after she finishes her doctorate. Marcus has experience in nonprofit management. And I want to bring in more people who've lived it. People who were residents and have rebuilt their lives." "Like Cameron?" "Exactly like Cameron." They sat together as the sun set, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. Outside the window, Sarah could see residents coming and going. A mother pushing a stroller. A young man heading to his night shift job. An elderly woman tending the community garden. All of them working toward better lives. All of them given a second chance because someone asked if they were okay. "Gabriel," Sarah said softly, "do you ever think about that night, the night you found me?" "Every day." "What if you hadn't stopped? What if you'd just driven past?" Gabriel turned to look at her. But I didn't. That's what matters. I stopped. You said yes to help. And everything that came after, all these lives changed. All these people helped. It happened because we both made a choice that night. Best choice I ever made, Sarah whispered. Second best, Gabriel corrected with a smile. The best choice you made was deciding to live, deciding to fight for Ivy. I just gave you a hand up. Over the next 5 years, Mission House exploded across the state. Sarah assembled a team of passionate, dedicated people who understood the mission because they'd lived it. The expansion was messy, chaotic, sometimes overwhelming, but it worked. By year 30 after Gabriel's first Mission House opened, they were serving over 10,000 people annually across 27 locations. They'd helped over 15,000 individuals find permanent housing in 3 decades. But numbers didn't tell the whole story. The real story was in the individual lives. Like Destiny, who came to Mission House at 15, pregnant and abandoned by her family. She had her baby, finished high school, went to community college, and became a registered nurse. Now she volunteered at Mission House, providing free health screenings to residents. Like Raymond, a former gang member who'd been shot 3 times and left paralyzed. He came to Mission House angry at the world, convinced his life was over. 2 years later, he was running peer counseling groups for at-risk youth, showing them there was a way out of violence. Like Patricia, yes, the same Patricia who'd called the police that night Tyler broke into Sarah's apartment. After her husband died, she'd fallen into depression and financial hardship. She reached out to Sarah, embarrassed to ask for help. Sarah brought her to Mission House immediately. Patricia now ran the volunteer coordination program, making sure every person who wanted to help had a meaningful way to contribute. Each story was a miracle. Each person was proof that transformation was possible. Ivy, now 31, stood beside her mother at the ribbon-cutting ceremony for Mission House's 30th location. She'd become co-director 3 years ago, and Sarah had never been more proud. "Mom," Ivy whispered as the mayor gave his speech. "Do you remember that night under the bridge?" "Every detail. I don't remember any of it. I was too young, but sometimes I wonder what would have happened if Gabriel hadn't found us." Sarah squeezed her daughter's hand. "We don't have to wonder. We're here. We're doing this work. That's all that matters." "Do you think about Tyler? Ever wonder what happened to him?" Sarah rarely thought about Tyler anymore. He'd become a ghost, a shadow from another life. "He got out of prison 5 years ago. I heard he moved to California. As long as he stays away from us, I don't care what he does." "He asked to see me once," Ivy said quietly. "When I turned 18. Wrote me a letter from prison." Sarah's heart clenched. "You never told me." "I didn't want to upset you. I wrote back and told him I wasn't interested. That you were my mother, David was my father, and he was a stranger who contributed DNA. Nothing more." "How did that feel?" Ivy thought for a moment. "Powerful, like I was closing a door that should have been closed a long time ago. He doesn't get to claim me. He doesn't get to be part of my story except as the mistake you escaped from." Sarah hugged her daughter tight. "I'm so sorry you had to deal with that." "Don't be. You protected me from so much worse. A letter I could handle." After the ceremony, Sarah drove to the bridge. She still came every year on the anniversary, but now it was a celebration, not a memorial. She'd brought a small plaque that she'd had installed on the concrete pillar where she used to sleep. It read, November 15, 1999. On this spot, Sarah Mitchell and her daughter Ivy were given a second chance. In memory of Gabriel Rodriguez, who taught us to ask, "Are you okay? May we all choose to see each other's humanity." Gabriel had passed away 2 years ago, peacefully in his sleep at 75. His funeral had been attended by over 1,000 people whose lives he'd touched. Sarah had delivered the eulogy, barely able to speak through her tears. "Gabriel never saw himself as a hero," she'd said. "He saw himself as a man trying to make up for his mistakes. But to everyone in this room, to the thousands of people he helped, he was so much more. He was proof that our worst moments don't define us. Our choices moving forward do." Now, standing at the bridge where it all began, Sarah felt Gabriel's presence. She could almost hear his voice. "Keep going. Keep helping. Never give up on anyone." "I won't," she whispered to the wind. "I promise." A sound caught her attention. Crying. A baby crying. Sarah's heart stopped. It couldn't be. History couldn't be repeating itself. but as she walked around the pillar, she saw them. A young woman, maybe 19, huddled against the concrete with an infant in her arms. The scene was so eerily similar to 30 years ago that Sarah felt like she'd stepped into a time warp. The girl looked up, startled and afraid. "Please don't call the cops. Please, we'll move. We'll go somewhere else." Sarah's hands were shaking. She pulled out her phone and called Ivy. "Mom, what's wrong?" "I'm at the bridge. There's a girl here with a baby. Ivy, it's happening again." "I'm on my way. Stay with her." Sarah crouched down, keeping her distance, remembering how Gabriel had approached her with careful respect. "I'm not calling the cops," Sarah said gently. "I'm here to help. My name is Sarah." The girl stared at her suspiciously. "Why would you help me?" "Because 30 years ago someone asked me that same question when I was sitting exactly where you are now." The girl's eyes widened. "What?" Sarah pulled out her phone and showed her the plaque. "This is my plaque. This is my bridge. And I need you to believe me when I say that your life doesn't have to end here." "You were homeless?" "For 6 weeks, with my 6-month-old daughter. A man named Gabriel found us and changed everything." The baby in the girl's arms let out a piercing wail. Sarah recognized that cry, the desperate hunger cry. "When did your baby last eat?" Sarah asked. "Yesterday morning. I ran out of formula." Sarah's heart broke all over again. She pulled out her phone and ordered food delivery to the bridge location. Then she called the closest mission house. "This is Sarah Mitchell. I need a family apartment ready in 30 minutes. And I need formula, diapers, everything for an infant. This is priority 1. While they waited, Sarah sat with the girl, whose name was Brooklyn. "How did you end up here?" Sarah asked gently. Brooklyn's story was different from Sarah's, but just as heartbreaking. Foster care system, aged out at 18. Boyfriend who left the moment she got pregnant. Jobs that didn't pay enough to cover both rent and child care. "I'm not a bad person," Brooklyn said, tears streaming down her face. "I just made some mistakes." "I know," Sarah said. "And mistakes don't define you. What happens next defines you." The food arrived first. Brooklyn ate like she was starving, which she probably was. Then Ivy pulled up with supplies from Mission House. Mother and daughter worked together, the way they'd done 1,000 times before. They fed Brooklyn's baby, a little girl named Luna. They gave Brooklyn clean clothes, a warm jacket, basic dignity. "We have a place for you," Sarah told Brooklyn. "It's called Mission House. It's safe, warm, and free. All we ask is that you work with us to build a better life for yourself and Luna." Brooklyn looked between Sarah and Ivy, clearly not believing this was real. "Why are you doing this?" she whispered. Sarah smiled through her tears. "Because someone did it for me, and because you and Luna deserve better than this bridge." Brooklyn broke down sobbing. "I don't deserve this. I don't deserve help." "Yes, you do," Sarah said firmly. "Every person deserves help. Every person deserves to be seen. And Brooklyn, I see you. I know exactly what you're going through, and I'm not leaving you here." They brought Brooklyn and Luna to Mission House that night. Got them settled in the same apartment Sarah had lived in 30 years ago. Fed them, clothed them, showed them they weren't alone. Later, standing outside Brooklyn's door, Ivy turned to Sarah with tears in her eyes. "Mom, what are the chances? What are the chances you'd find someone at the exact same bridge on the exact same anniversary?" Sarah thought about Gabriel's daughter, the pink blanket, the voice that told him to help. She thought about all the seemingly random moments that had led to this. "I don't think it's chance," she said quietly. "I think it's Gabriel. Still out there, still guiding us to the people who need help, still reminding us that everyone deserves an angel." Ivy hugged her mother tight. "You're someone's angel now, just like Gabriel was yours." "We're all someone's angel," Sarah corrected. "We just have to choose to show up." Brooklyn stayed at Mission House for 18 months. She got her GED, completed medical assistant training, found a job at a local clinic. She saved money, found permanent housing, built a life for herself and Luna. On the day she moved out, she came to Sarah's office with tears in her eyes. "I don't know how to thank you," Brooklyn said. "You saved our lives." "I just asked if you were okay," Sarah said. "You did the rest." "Will you stay in my life? Will you watch Luna grow up? I want her to know the woman who changed everything." Sarah thought about all the people who'd asked her that same question over the years. all the families who'd become part of her extended community. "Of course," she said. "Your family now. That's how this works." 35 years after Gabriel found Sarah under that bridge, Sarah stood before the United Nations Council on Homelessness. She was 68 years old now, officially retired from daily operations at Mission House, but still serving as an advisor and advocate. The Mission House model had spread beyond the state, beyond the country. There were now mission houses in 12 countries, all following the same principle: see people's humanity, ask if they're okay, provide help without judgment. "When I was 23, Sarah told the council, I thought my life was over. I was convinced I'd failed my daughter, failed myself, failed at everything that mattered. I was hours from giving up completely." She paused, looking at the international delegates, the policymakers, the advocates. But one man stopped and asked if I was okay. That question changed everything, not because it solved all my problems, but because it reminded me that I was still human, still worthy, still deserving of care. Sarah clicked to her final slide, a photo of Mission House's impact over 35 years. Over 20,000 people housed, over 15,000 people helped into permanent employment, over 3,000 children kept out of the foster care system. "These numbers are incredible," she said. "But they're not the point. The point is that every single one of these people started as someone sleeping under a bridge, or in a car, or in a shelter, someone who felt invisible, and someone asked if they were okay." She looked directly at the camera broadcasting to the world. "I'm asking all of you, everyone watching, to think about the people you pass every day who are struggling. The homeless person on the corner, the single mother working 3 jobs, the veteran with PTSD, the teenager kicked out for being gay, all the people our society has failed." Sarah's voice grew passionate. "Ask them if they're okay. Actually look at them. See them. Offer help without judgment. Because that simple act of recognition, that simple question, it can save a life. It saved mine." The council gave her a standing ovation, but Sarah wasn't thinking about the applause. She was thinking about a rainy November night 35 years ago when a man on a motorcycle stopped and changed everything. That night, Sarah video called with her family, Ivy and her wife showing off their new baby. Marcus, now running a nonprofit in Chicago that helped formerly incarcerated people find housing. Zoe, a teacher working with refugee children. Hope, a social worker specializing in child welfare. And in the corner of the screen, Brooklyn, now 34, and a nurse practitioner, with Luna beside her. Luna was 16 now, smart and passionate, already volunteering at Mission House and talking about becoming a social worker. "I'm proud of all of you," Sarah told them. "You're all changing the world." "We learned from the best," Ivy said. "You and Gabriel showed us what it means to care about people." After the call ended, Sarah sat in her quiet apartment, looking at photos spanning 35 years. Her and Gabriel, her and Ivy, the Mission House family that had grown to thousands. She pulled out an old letter, written in Gabriel's shaky handwriting from his final year. "Dear Sarah," it read, "if you're reading this, I'm gone. Don't be sad. I lived a full life, a meaningful life. I got to see you grow from a terrified girl under a bridge into one of the strongest people I've ever known. I got to see Mission House touch thousands of lives. I got to see my daughter's legacy live on in the work we do. I have no regrets. But I have one last request. Keep asking the question. Keep showing up. Keep believing in people when they can't believe in themselves. That's all Rosa asked of me. That's all I ask of you. The world needs people like you, Sarah. People who've been broken and put themselves back together. People who use their pain to help others. People who refuse to look away. Thank you for being my greatest success story. Thank you for becoming the person I always knew you could be. With love and pride, Gabriel." Sarah folded the letter carefully and placed it back in her desk drawer. Then she pulled out her own journal and began to write. "Dear future Sarah," she wrote, "you're 85 years old now. I hope you're still going strong. I hope you're still fighting for people who need it. I hope you never forget that night under the bridge, the night that changed everything. Because that night taught you the most important lesson of your life. We all need each other. We all deserve compassion. And we all have the power to be someone's angel if we just choose to stop and ask, are you okay? Keep asking that question. Keep changing lives. Keep honoring Gabriel's legacy and Rosa's before him. Keep being the person you needed when you were 23 and terrified. The world needs you. Love, present Sarah." She closed the journal and looked out her window at the city lights. Somewhere out there, Someone was sleeping under a bridge. Someone was scared and alone. Someone was moments away from giving up. And tomorrow Sarah would be out there looking for them, still asking the question, still offering help, still being the angel Gabriel had been for her. Because some circles never end, they just keep expanding, touching more lives, creating more hope, proving over and over that love and compassion can triumph over despair. Sarah Mitchell had been saved by a question 35 years ago. Now it was her turn to keep asking it, for the rest of her life, for everyone who needed to hear it. Are you okay? 3 words that changed the world, one person at a time.